Hello everyone, welcome once again to Some Idiot Reads, where I'm I'm some idiot, and it's time to read. We are returning now for... It has been a hot second since I picked up on Unsong, but I am determined to get some recordings for it in the bag and not continue to record these things at the last minute. So we're going to do this. I hope you're all doing well. Let's get to it. We are today continuing, here's my mouse, with Chapter 9, With Art Celestial. The claim that the Talmudic sages were great Kabbalists is a historical error. Most sages make no mention of the Kabbalistic tradition at all. Shimon bar Yochai, I suck at pronunciation sometimes, who lived in a cave and composed 1,700 pages of Kabbalistic texts, is an exception and should be considered separately. Bar Yochai spent 13 years hiding from the Romans in a cavern near Pekin, and took advantage of his long downtime to write what would later become the Zohar, the founding work of Kabbalah, as brilliant as it is impenetrable. Worried that it would lead younger students into flights of overwrought superstition, the Orthodox banned study of the Zohar to everyone except married Jews above the age of 40. And even these carefully selected students tended to go off the deep end after a while. The circumstances of the Zohar's composition are widely believed to be the origin of the old rabbinic proverb against delving too deep into arcane secrets. I'm not even going to try and pronounce Hebrew. Meaning, don't go into the caves. Gebron and Eleazar, Kabbalah, a modern approach. I do not know if that's actually a fictional work. October 3rd, 1990. The Gulf of Mexico. We say that man was made in the image of God, said Uriel. But God is ineffable and without physical form. Resolve the paradox. I'm hungry, said Sohu. She was sitting on a little cloud, a dozen or so meters across. In the middle, the cloud stuff had been piled up into little amorphous cottage, where she slept and stored her books. On the far end of the cloud was the flying kayak, tied down with cloud ropes. Uriel thought for a moment. I can make more mana. I had mana yesterday, and the day before. It doesn't taste like anything. Sorry. You are very picky. We're in the middle of an ocean. Aren't there fish or something? The Archangel bent down, reached into the deep, and placed a giant grouper the size of a jeep onto Sohu's cloud. It flailed half-heartedly for a moment, then stared at Sohu with dinner plate-sized, lidless eyes. It looked resigned. As I was saying, God has no physical form, so the claim that humans were made in the image of God must have some more subtle meaning. Rabbi Akiva proposed... Uriel, said Sohu, what are you doing? I am teaching you the Kabbalah. I can't eat this. It is a fish. It is kosher and full of nutrients. It's staring at me. That makes sense. It does not have eyelids. Uriel, make it stop. Fast as lightning, the Archangel rearranged some of the glowing letters in front of him, causing them to pulse and whirl ominously. The fish had eyelids. It blinked. That doesn't help. You are very picky. The poor fish gave up the ghost. Humans don't just eat giant fish the size of jeeps. They need to be cut apart and cooked and covered in breadcrumbs, and I like them with ketchup even though Father says that makes me a barbarian. A series of knives rained from the sky, barely missing the girl's head, and embedded themselves, point down, in the cloud. They were followed by frying pans and entire stoves and bottles of ketchup. And, finally, Mana. "Sorry," said Uriel. "It was the closest I could come to bread." Sohu stared at the objects for a while, then sighed, then picked up one of the larger knives. Rabbi Akiva proposed that the verse has been misinterpreted. God made man in his image means God made man according to an image belonging to God. In other words, man was built to a specific celestial blueprint. We call that blueprint Adam Kadmon, meaning original man. Adam Kadmon is the blueprint not only for man, but for the entire universe. The relationship between this blueprint and the universe itself is the basis of Kabbalah. Sohu cut through a scale and was rewarded with a spurt of blood for her efforts. She shrieked and almost fell off the cloud. "Oh!" she said. Then, "Sorry, I was listening. Really." Novices in Kabbalah expect there to be a simple correspondence between aspects of Adam Kadmon and objects in the universe. For example, one part of Adam Kadmon might describe humans, another might describe trees, and another might describe stars. They believe you can carve up the different features of the universe, much like carving a fish, and simply... No, said Sohu, who was still trying to wipe the blood off herself. No fish-carving metaphors. They believe you can carve up the different features of the universe, entirely unlike carving a fish, the Archangel corrected himself. But, in fact, every part of the blueprint is contained in every object, as well as in the entirety of the universe. Think of it as a fractal, in which every part contains the whole. It may be transformed almost beyond recognition, but the whole is there. Thus, studying any object gives us certain domain general knowledge, which applies to every other object. However, because Adam Kadmon is arranged in a way dramatically different from how our own minds arrange information, this knowledge is fiendishly difficult to detect and apply. You must first cut through the thick skin of contingent appearances before reaching the heart of... No, cutting metaphors, Sohu told the angel. She had finally made a good incision and was slowly pulling things out of the fish, sorting them by apparent edibility. The Bible is an especially clear example of a system which is isomorphic to Adam Kadmon. So are all human languages. So is the human body. So is the tarot. So are the works of William Blake. So is the sky and constellations. Sohu nodded. Was that a spleen? Did fishes even have spleens? There are 4 Gospels in the Bible, 4 letters in the Tetragrammaton, 4 limbs on the human body, 4 suits of the tarot, 4 zoas in Blake, and 4 quarters of the sky. The novice considers this a coincidence. The adept understands this because the number 4 is an important organizing principle of Adam Kadmon, and, insofar as all systems reflect Adam Kadmon, they are also organized into 4 parts. Sohu managed to extract the heart from the fish. For a second, she felt some strange significance at seeing it divided neatly into 4 chambers. Then she shook herself out of it and moved on. There are 10 commandments in the Bible, 10 digits in the number system, 10 fingers on the human body, 10 pip cards in the tarot, 10 prophetic books in Blake, and 10 celestial bodies in the sky. 10 celestial bodies? 8 planets, the sun, and the moon. There are 22 books in the Hebrew Bible, 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, 22 somatic chromosomes in the human body, 22 major arcana in the tarot, 22 engravings in Blake's Book of Job, and 22 constellations in each of the 4 quarters of the sky. Sohu wiped off her hands. She was pretty sure she'd gotten everything even potentially edible out of the fish now. She looked at her piles. There were 22 weird, unidentifiable fish organs. Huh. Likewise, there are 72 books in the Catholic Bible, 72 letters in the Shem HaMeforash, 72 heartbeats per minute in a healthy human adult, 72 sides of number cards in the tarot, 72 pages in William Blake's Poetical Sketches, and 72 years to 1 degree of precession of the Earth's equinox. Sohu had finally extracted enough pieces of fish innard, to put into a frying pan. She placed it on a stove. Even though the stove was unconnected to any source of gas or electricity, it started burning with a thin, blue flame. In Kabbalah, Uriel continued, we recognize certain divisions of Adam Kadmon as especially important. A 4-fold division, which we interpret as 4 worlds. A 10-fold division, which we interpret as 10 Sephirot. A 22-fold division, which we interpret as 22 paths between Sephirot. And a 72-fold division, which we interpret as the 72-fold explicit name of God. By understanding all of these divisions, we learn the structure of Adam Kadmon, and therefore the organizational principles of the universe. Once the organizational principles of the universe are understood, they can be changed. It is as easy as shooting fish in a barrel. You're doing it on purpose now. There are many fish metaphors. Okay, wait a second. If you can create stoves and ketchup bottles ex nihilo, how come you can't create food ex nihilo for me? The most basic division in the mystical body of God is the 10 Sephirot. Sephirah is a Hebrew word related to the English sapphire, because the sages imagined them as sapphire-like jewels arranged in a string. The 10 Sephirot are a series of stages or levels, or jewels, through which divine power flows in its movement from God to the finite world. Each one corresponds to a specific divine attribute. The first represents the will of God. The second represents the wisdom of God, and so on. A spark appeared on Uriel's finger, and in lines of fire he traced a diagram into the sky in front of him. Pictured the Sephirot. There are 22 different paths between these jewels. Each corresponds to a particular Hebrew letter. Sohu looked at the glowing diagram. Okay, she said, but what does all this mean? This was God's machine for creating the world, said Uriel. It had many problems, so I hacked into it and made it emulate a different machine which runs the world my way. It involves many fewer surprises. It is important to know the structure of the original machine, both in order to control the emulation and because the emulation is no longer complete. So, the whole universe runs on this system of sapphires connected by paths? Most of it runs on sapphires on paths, but I use Ruby on Rails for the databases. Huh. Is that a different thing? We cannot talk now, said Uriel, suddenly. The butterflies are migrating. What? I just realized. The butterflies are starting to migrate. It is only October. They should not migrate for several more months. I think I might have made an off-by-1 error last time I synchronized the insect migration algorithms. Well, can't you just let them migrate early? Every time a butterfly flaps its wings, it creates a cascading chain of after effects, which can upset the entire course of history. If the entire butterfly migration happened at the wrong time, the result would be too horrible to imagine. Oh, I'm sorry. It is not your fault. I am going to fix the butterfly migration. I will give you homework for tonight. All languages are isomorphic to Adam Kadmon, but in different ways. You will need to compare and contrast them. Your homework assignment is to learn every human language. That's not something humans can realistically do. Oh, then do something humans are good at. Fall in love. Start a war. But the Archangel was no longer listening, focusing the attention of his glowing gold eyes on the stream of letters in front of him, already rearranging them with frightening speed. Sohu experimentally slathered one of the fried fish parts in ketchup, tentatively took a taste, then spit it out. Making sure Uriel was distracted with his butterflies, she furtively started squirting ketchup from the bottle straight onto her tongue. She swallowed, shrugged, then curled up on her cloud with her book and one of the ketchup bottles as the Archangel gesticulated above her. Uriel is a treat in this. Just so straightforward. It really is a case of just trying to capture his voice is very easy to capture in this. I love it. It's always also deeply entertaining for me with all the correspondences between things. Like I generally, my roommate and my girlfriend assault me with puns on a regular basis. I love the both of you. But I still enjoy them. I just put on the show. I mean, sometimes it's just like, ugh. I don't know where the line between a bit and actual reality is anymore with it, but it's fun. But I really enjoy, for as much as I put on a show of oh God, puns, they still fall to doing correspondence play, which I had a great deal of exposure to. And it's really neat. That's one thing that draws me back to this over and over again, for just general reading, is all the playing with correspondences that goes on. I think it's really cool. But that is chapter 9. I am going to now go ahead and stop recording on this one so that I can then do a second recording of chapter 10, which will come out 2 weeks after this one, when I am probably out of town visiting my family. So, if you enjoyed, please give a like, subscribe if you're feeling salty. Salty? Froggy. If you're feeling like a salty frog, or frog-flavored salt. Anyway, feel free to sign up for the channel. Give it a subscribe. Check out some of our other stuff we've got going on. We've got Satisfactory going on regularly, as well as Darkwater. And who all knows what else is going on? We've got several games we just got a backlog to get to. All right. Anyway, you all take care. Deuces.